So I'm reading Acid Dreams, which is by Lee and Shlain, which is a book about the history of LSD, mostly in the 60s, and its connections with the CIA and other matters. It's a pretty interesting book, pretty important book. It talks about, it gives a lot of details about what was going on in the LSD culture, and and mentions a lot of direct connections with the CIA. It does not assert that the LSD culture was created by the CIA or that they were behind the the explosion. No, not intentionally behind the explosion of LSD into the culture in the 60s. Although other books quite clearly assert this. Like there's a book on MK Ultra, Search for the Manchurian Candidate, and then there's some books by a guy named David McGowan who talks about this kind of stuff. But still, there's a wealth of information, and it's pretty clear that the CIA was mucking with LSD from the beginning. The first LSD Johnny Appleseed is a guy named Al Hubbard, who was an early OSS agent and probably was an agent of the U.S. government before there was a OSS. And he was going around giving LSD to all kinds of important and famous people in the 40s and the 50s. They don't talk too much about Gottlieb. Gottlieb was the MK Ultra guy who gave a lot of LSD to people unknowingly. They mention him briefly, and they talk a little bit about some of the other stuff that the Ultra people were doing, but their focus is more on the effect on the psychedelic culture. It's kind of interesting because of the dots they don't quite connect. But if you read it in concert with other books, like I say, the Search for the Manchurian Candidate is one, and McGowan's book Weird Scenes Inside Laurel Canyon, you can get a pretty good picture of what was really going on. It seems pretty clear that the purpose of the LSD thing was to disarm the left, and the hippie culture was intended to make the left unappealing to average working class Americans. So, a good, interesting historical curio, worth a read.